Oh boy, setting up a makeshift recording studio has taught me two important things. One, setting up a makeshift recording studio is a lot more difficult than it sounds, and two, my table is really filthy. Hey guys, this is AwesomeJohn22, and today I'm coming at you with the first in a little mini-series of reviews, and at our basis level we're taking a look at this guy, sans the one Stunticon that is standing in for one of his arms. But we're not going to be taking a look at the whole thing today, obviously, because there's a whole lot of robots in there. What we're actually going to be looking at is, well, one of these guys. It was going to be two if my Wave 2 Deluxes had come before today. They haven't. It doesn't look like they're going to be here until later this week at the earliest, so probably not going to get to show off my fourth Aerobot Deluxe until it's finally time to look at the finished Superion figure. Unfortunately, which means I have to go with plan A, which is to take a look at just one of these guys, and then to talk a little bit about how I feel about the way they're handling the Combiner Wars line so far. Because I have mentioned, I feel like it's probably the best thing to happen to Transformers, retail Transformers, in a very long time. And I mean every single word of that. So real quick, let's get this guy transformed up and get the review set up properly through the magic of jump cuts. And because I am using the official combination scheme for these guys, Skydive here is the left arm, and this is kind of a double review, I guess, because we do have Power Glide down here as his combined mode target master, which he would end up holding, most likely, depending on how I decide to pose it. And yeah, first of all, every single one of these Deluxes that we're going to be taking a look at this week are pretty much the same exact figure, with just some slightly different sculpting and add-ons and whatnot. Their transformation is all incredibly similar. They can all become an arm or a leg for either side of the combined figure. In other words, they're effectively the modern equivalent of Scramble City Transformers, which, if you know what that means, well, you're a G1er. If you don't know what that means, allow me to explain. A Scramble City Transformer is one which is a part of a combiner, specifically a limb of a combiner, and can be, as I just mentioned, either an arm or a leg, and can be a limb for either side of the combined form. And the fact that they brought that back, that they engineered that into these new figures, and still managed to create figures that look good, just kind of blows me away, especially considering the level of quality that we sometimes see from Hasbro these days. But as we all know, I do not start looking at the figure in robot mode, so we need to get this guy transformed again through the magic of jump cuts. And here we have Skydive and Power Glide in their vehicle modes. Let's take a look at Power Glide first and get him out of the way quickly. He kind of suffers from Windblade syndrome. He looks really great. I definitely like what they were going for with this figure, but he has some issues holding together. His wings are kind of floppy. His fins here in the back are kind of floppy. These bits slide everywhere. This whole section is incredibly loose, and these come apart very, very easily. Overall, a good looking figure, a good little update to the old Power Glide aesthetic, but not one of my favorites, just because of how difficult it is to keep it all together. Transformation is pretty simple. We can see the wings fold up against the sides of the body, and then these bits fold down. Then his legs split. These bits here slide up the legs. His feet come down. These little fins fold back behind the legs. And then in the only really tricky part of the transformation, this section here lifts up. Then this whole section lowers down into place and then clips in like so. And then this nose bit rotates around to reveal his head sculpt. And he looks really cool. Head sculpt is great. Great Autobot symbol. Good coloring on him. I really like that. He does have a third mode, which we saw a bit we were looking at Superion in the opening to the video, and we will get to that later because I don't want to show any of the combined stuff until we get to Superion, because I do want to make Superion his own individual video. So yeah, Power Glide. Once you get him into robot mode, I mean, get his legs both pointed forward, because I didn't quite have him that way. He stands fine, he looks fine, he holds together fine. It's his vehicle mode that I have the problem with. However, we do have another figure here, so let's look at that one and try to wash the kind of lukewarm taste of Power Glide out of our mouths, figuratively speaking, of course. Here we have Skydive. He's kind of an F-15-y looking jet. You can see some little molded missiles here. In the front, he's pretty small. I mean, literally, standing next to one of the modern legends, he's only a little bit longer than it is tall. He's a small figure, but he looks good. There's not a whole lot of kibbly bits under here. I mean, you could definitely see some robot stuff, but it's relatively narrow here. And there's all kinds of... Here, I want to show you. All kinds of molded in detail here, reminiscent of the recent Jetfire that we looked at, that really gives it this really convincing appearance of a jet, and I like it a lot. It did a really good job. Great gold on the wings. Kind of wish these were painted gold as well, and these were maybe painted gray to kind of bring it all in together, but I don't mind too much. Fantastic looking topographed Autobot symbols on both wings, and really nifty metallic green, blue, grayish cockpits. Also very cool. And that's really all there is to say about this vehicle mode. It looks good, it does what it's supposed to, and considering that this can turn into a robot, an arm, or a leg, I'm very impressed with it. Transformation on this guy is actually not much more complicated than Power Glide. First, what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to raise this up, which allows us to loosen up this section and just kind of get it out of the way. You can see his head there. Next, we're going to fold his wings up, come down here. We are going to pop his arms out and accordion them up on these joints here. Next, we're going to fold these fins up, and then we're going to bring these segments down. And this can be slightly tricky. Fold them like this, I believe. Yes. And then bring it all down. Split these. And then last but not least, after rotating the head around, which I, for some reason, thought we had already done, we're going to bring the fuselage flush with the back and then rotate these segments up into the proper shoulder positions. And there we have Skydive in his robot mode. And you can see now he is quite a bit taller than a Legends. And this is probably about how I would expect Power Glide to look next to another jet robot, honestly. You can see he's quite small. He was quite small in the show, though, and I really liked it. Let's take him out of the way, actually. Standard deluxe size to the point that I don't honestly feel like I need to show this guy next to anything other than Power Glide. I mean, he's... In this mode, he's as tall as you would expect him to be. And he looks good. You can see he's got all kinds of red now, if his legs don't fall out from under him. All kinds of red now along his chest. You can see this segment here making up the center of his torso. You can see some of the details from his wings are visible from the front. All kinds of great dark blacks in his arms. Fantastic head sculpt with this kind of metallic copper and these bright blue optics. No light piping though. And then his legs, being part of the jet, have a lot of the same great details, molded details that the jet mode had. And overall, he looks really great. And I think it's kind of fortuitous that this is the first of the deluxes that I'm actually looking at in a review, because it's the first one that I opened once I got these guys in the mail. I did end up ordering these guys. Anyone who has seen anything from Combiner Wars knows that the combiners come with, the combiner parts, rather, each come with their own weapon, and with this sort of weapon, which will eventually become either a hand or a foot for the robot, the combined robot. And he can wield it like a weapon. I just kind of move this off to the side and plug it in. And now, boom, he has a big shotgun looking thing in addition to his little 2-barrel gun. The issue is his elbow joints are really loose. He can't hold them very well. I mean, you can get them up there, you can kind of get them there, but then if you bump something, and see, now it's not going to do it as I bump the table, but there's a decent enough chance that these are just going to collapse back down at the slightest touch. And that kind of bums me out, but overall I was a lot more impressed with this figure than I expected I would be. Considering that it's a combiner, articulation is pretty much standard articulation. He even has a waist joint in addition to everything else that you would expect. It's really surprising. And I wish I could do 2 figures in this review. I really do. 2 limb figures, because I think that would be great. I think it would be great to do 2 and 2. But that's not possible, and there's a reason why, and that's that they're doing something interesting with the Combiner Wars. And this is what I meant when I said I would talk a little bit about how I feel about the way they're handling this. For the first 2 waves, they're doing they did 1 Decepticon and then 3 Autobots, and then for the second wave they're doing 3 Decepticons and then 1 Autobot as the deluxes, rather than releasing an entire combiner each wave. And while that is a great way to get people to retain their interest in the line past the wave that has their favorite guest stalled in it, it really bummed me out because I can't make the complete Superion for you until the Wave 2 stuff starts going out. And while I have very mixed feelings about it, I'm actually leaning towards it being a stupid idea, and it looks like Hasbro is too, because it seems for Wave 3 they are releasing the entirety of their second Autobot Gestalt, who we will get to eventually. And he's going to be fun, I can tell you that right now. But yes, final verdict on both of these little guys. Absolutely pick them up. They're really, really good. They're not great or groundbreaking or anything, but they're definitely really good figures, and I wholeheartedly recommend them. Later this week, of course, we will be taking a look at Superion's 2 legs. So, yeah, look forward to that, and help me out, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. In the description down below, you'll find links to all the other things I'm working on, as well as a link to my collections video, which I will, for sure, be updating as soon as this series of reviews is over. Either way, this has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later with more Superion! Woo!